Hey guys, it's Kaya. I'm here today to do another tutorial. This one's a little bit of a more avant-garde one that I wanted to share with you guys. Because my full dream mainly is to do with like editorial makeup, more avant-garde things. So we're just gonna jump into it. I'm gonna talk a little bit about, what's going on right now and all that stuff. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you like and subscribe, all that type of fun stuff. Anyways, let's get started. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna start with, I have made a face chart that I have right beside me that I'm going to just kind of fill in and just kind of figure out what I'm gonna be doing in terms of like makeup. I already have the full thing done right now. So here we go. So at the moment, we're gonna just start with our Perfecting Primer from Revlon. I just like to squirt a few pumps in my hand and just go right at her. So I really like how soft this goes on. It's a Perfecting Primer. It's silicone based, and so it's not always compatible with some makeup that you'll be putting on yourself. So in that case, if it isn't, lots of people say then just like switch your products and things like that. Mainly the trick is the only time that this silicone will go on very odd if you have a foundation that's not also silicone based and things like that is do not wet your sponge when you put it on, or else that's what's going to cause the pulling of the product off of your face. So now that we've primed our face, we're gonna start with our eye makeup. So I have my Kat Von D concealer. This is in L1 Neutral. It's one of my favorites. I like to use it as a base for my eye makeup and a base for anything else. So we're just gonna put this all over the eye, like so. I like to drag it underneath because you put makeup under there too. And then I like to just blend it with my fingers. I also did try, recently I tried MAC's Paint Pot, which I really like, Paint Pot in Painterly. And I really like it, but it's not really for me, I think. Just because of the way that it goes on, it's a weird texture when I put on my makeup. Of course, I absolutely love MAC products, but I think that I'd probably use it for less colorful colors, if you know what I mean. So now that we have all that kind of done, I'm gonna just make sure that it's right in there. Make sure you didn't miss any spots around your eyes. All right, so now that we've just kind of primed the eyes, we're gonna go in with, I think we're gonna go in with a green. So we're actually gonna go in this color here. Oh, okay, well, I guess that's gonna leave us. We're gonna go in with a green, and because I do not have my mixing medium on me at the moment, we're just gonna wing it. I think we'll be fine. So we're gonna start with one of the darkest greens in my Morphe 35B palette. I don't wanna grab it, but that's what I'm using. So I'm going to use my darkest color in this palette, the darkest color for green. And we're just going to start by creating a wing with our green, which is super weird. It's a weird feeling. But anyways, we're gonna still do it. I'm gonna make her feel welcome. So don't worry if your wing is not perfect at the moment, because we are going to scribble it out and make it into a leaf. Just gonna continue to keep going and going. I really wish I grabbed my mixing medium, but that's okay. Just gonna keep going anyways. You see, that's pretty big. That's what I want. There we go. Yes. Good. Okay. 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 There we go. There's our one side. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be perfect because they're gonna become leaves. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in my life at the moment, just because this is probably boring just watching and being quiet. So, that looks really good. So, I recently just graduated from my airbrushing class, which I really enjoyed. I really liked airbrushing. I really enjoy how fast it takes and how like it just looks so nice once you put it on somebody. It's just so soft and it's so like I don't know, like it just seems really it's just so convenient and it's just there and it just as long as you know how to do it right, you know, you're gonna slay it. It's amazing. So, I had finished that, and I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with my airbrush. I ended up getting a bunch of airbrush stuff for it, colors and everything from MAC. Um, but after my exam, I actually approached my teacher because I was so unaware of what type of airbrush medium it was. So, you know, you've got your alcohol based, you've got your water based, you've got your silicone based, right? And my airbrush got clogged. And I was so confused and I was worried and I couldn't seem to clean it properly. And I walked up to my teacher and I was like, hey, so there's something wrong with my airbrush, I think. So recently I bought like this color from MAC and, you know, I loaded it into my airbrush and started, and then it stopped. And I'm so concerned because, you know, I really like airbrushing. So it's so expensive and all that. And she said, well, and I asked her if she knew what type of base it was. Like, is it silicone based? Is it water based? And it's silicone. And I had no idea. And it was like the scariest thing ever because I'm like, oh my God, so you're telling me I ruined it? She's like, no, 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 you didn't ruin it. You just have to, you need to have a silicone based like remover. And I was like, oh my God, like, so I have to go and buy one of those? And she's like, oh no, like, you know, I'll give you a bottle of it. And I was like, what? Because, you know, I was expecting her to be like, oh, well, you know, I'll have some, but you have to pay me and everything for me to give it to you. And I was like waiting for her to, you know, self promote. And I'm like, oh dear God. But there was only a bit left. And she's like, here, you can just have this. And I was like, what? So that's amazing. Also, I'm going in again with the same brush that I used for my eyeliner. And we're just going to use my Inglot White for my eye. I love this stuff so much. It's so white, it's so pigmented, and I'm just so obsessed with it. I use it for almost all of my looks. Super cool. Love this. Go in with this one. We're just gonna drag it along the waterline and make a little bit and put a little bit more in past the waterline. Gonna make it look real good. Make her pop. There we go. Right. We're getting somewhere. Perfect. Anyways, so that happened, and you know, and then I went home and I used it, and it was all clean, and I was like, oh, thank God. But it just goes to show you, you know, that's how it works sometimes. learning by yourself and messing up something. So now we're just gonna go in with my 35B palette again and just use my white just to kind of mattify this and make sure it doesn't crease up, because I know how stubborn she can be if she's not, you know, patted down. So we're just gonna pat her, make sure that she's, you know, comfortable, make sure she's good, check up on her, you know. So there we go, perfect. Now that we've gotten the white on, we're actually gonna go back with our green, the darkest one. What else? And we are going to use the bottom part of our makeup. This part right here, we're gonna use the bottom of it. Oh, hello. And we're gonna connect it to our wing up top. Doesn't have to be perfect, that's perfectly fine. We just need to connect it and then just kind of do a little smudge at the bottom, you know, nothing major. We're gonna do a little smudge at the bottom, just a baby one. Make it look kind of purposeful. Well, it's supposed to be purposeful, but you know what I mean. So you know how I'm doing it, I'm dragging it down at the bottom. Make sure it looks good, make sure it looks clean, you know, purposeful, like, oh, she meant to do that, because she did, but, you know, sometimes it won't come out that way. So there's one part here, so that's super good, nice and clean. You know, make sure it looks kind of like that. Gonna do the same thing to this guy. Drag it under, not even halfway. Make sure to thicken your wing. Just go at it, just go down. Make sure it's blended. And just go like that, you know? Just go right at it. Perfect. So as you see, this one's thicker, so of course I'm gonna thicken the other side then. So, thicken that part of it. Don't be afraid, because the eyes are not going to be the main thing. Your face is going to, all the makeup that we're going to put on today, you're going to jump from one thing to the other, you know? It's going to look insane. So anyways, we're going to continue on, make it a little bit more thicker. Don't worry about cleaning up the lines. I mean, it's not the biggest deal, as long as you make it clean the first time, you know? Come on. Even a little thicker. Yeah. Yes. That's working. Yeah. So that's really good. Now we're just gonna go down below a little bit more, just to be sure that it looks a little bit more cleaner, makes it look more intentional. And if you need to thicken it up at the bottom because of it, go ahead. Now I'm gonna make sure that it looks nice and clean, you know, nice and pretty, nice and mythical. So continue on, just kind of blending it out. I'm still using the same dark color. Don't switch your color just yet. Just go down a bit. If you feel like the bottom is a little bit thicker than, you know, the rest of it, making it look a little funny, just kind of, it doesn't have to be too blended in, you know, because we're going to be doing the foundation and everything. So just kind of leave it. Or if you feel like it's a little thicker, you know, take your finger or a Q-tip and just, you know, wipe it. But I think so far so good. It's a little messy up top, but, you know, no worries. Doesn't have to look that amazing. Well, it should, but you know what I mean. Perfect. Just kind of going around the edges a bit. All right, I think that we've got where we are at a good place. So now that we've gotten to the white area, now we're just going to go in with our foundation, because the rest of it kind of fits together with your face, because you'll be putting a lot of things on your face as well. So we're gonna go again with our foundation, like I said, if you do have a little bit of like, what's the word? Fallout, just kind of wipe it all off. It's not a big deal. Luckily, this is why I always do my foundation last or a little bit close to last because I tend to pack on a lot of eyeshadow. It's a bad habit, but it just brings out the more pigment, you know what I mean? All right, so now we're just gonna go in with our foundation. So I like to mix my two foundations. I have the MAC Face and Body. This is N1. So this will be my first foundation I'll be putting on. We're just gonna drip it down like from my massive forehead and just kind of let her be for a minute, before we go on to the next foundation. So, we're gonna let her be, make sure that she's comfortable, make sure she's not gonna drip off of your face. Cause, oh, hello, oh wow, okay. She was ready, okay. So, that's okay, let it drip, it's going off your big forehead, don't worry about my big forehead. And then we're gonna use our MAC Prep and Prime. We're gonna kind of give it a more of a dewy finish. So, throw it on from your beauty blender. Doesn't matter if it gets on your hands. You'll be working with your hands too. Now, this is the part where it might start to grab on your primer. So this is why you shouldn't wet it too much. And if you do, just start spreading around the rest of it. Leave the part that has not that has had makeup grabbed from it, and then go back to it later. So far it's doing okay. There's no grabbing just yet. Oh wow, hello. I may have put on a bit too much, but that's okay, because in the end it will look cakey no matter what you do. This will look cakey, and that's okay. It's what we want right now, especially with this look. So be a little bit mindful about where you've placed your eyeshadow. Make sure you're not, bugging it, whatever you call it, disturb it, all that. Make sure it's all in there. I like to just be a little bit more gentle around the eyes to make sure that you're not going to be pulling in any of the color that you did on the eye. Of course, this isn't good for extremely blended eyeshadow that you do, but this is good for when you do things like this. Or if you're a professional makeup artist, it's whatever you feel needs to be covered first. Which one do you think is going to be the easiest to do? If you're gonna do the easiest one, do it last. If you feel like you're not as good with eyeshadow or eyeliner, do that first. For me, I take a long time with my eye makeup, so I like to just kind of be a little more careful with that part. Oh wow, okay. So because I put on a lot, which is fine, because this is gonna give the more pigment to the skin. More pigment to the eyeshadow that I'll be applying to my face as well. But so far so good. It's looking good. Yeah. So it's got a very small glow to it. It's not an insane glow, as you see. It's just like a very slight glow, because that's not what is going to be the focal point of your makeup, especially not this one. The makeup will be the focal point, and all the colors that we'll be putting on the face. So far so good. It's working out. I also wanted to talk a little bit, while I'm working on this, I wanted to talk a little bit about my Accutane and how it's going. So I think this is my final month, or quite close to it. I was keeping track and then I totally lost track. But I'm quite close to my end of it, and it's amazing. It's working out really well. But I believe I must be near my end because I'm really starting to feel a lot of my symptoms more than I would when I first started. Um, just want to explain like a little bit more of oh, hello, she's different. It's all right. Um, I want to talk a little bit more about my makeup and how, or sorry, my Accutane and how it is a little bit. It's a great thing, and I love it, and it's working really well. But it's really starting to play on my emotions, and it's really starting to really weigh me down. Um, Already, I do have a very bad depression, but this stuff has really yanked that up. It's really what's the word? It's really gotten to me. But only just recently. I was told that as soon as I started showing these symptoms that I should go back and tell him. But I don't want to not take these meds. Do you know what I mean? It's a shame because people sacrifice so much for beauty, and it's, you know, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And thank God it's, kind of coming to the end because it's really getting to me at this point. Anyways, I'm gonna go in with my Anastasia Beverly Hills palette and my contour. Just this is the you know what I mean. She's just the contour. Anyways, so we're just gonna do like a normal makeup at the moment. It's gonna go from normal for a minute, and we're just gonna line out your, carve out your nose. Carve out your nose. Make sure she's not, there. Yeah, so that's been a little bit of a hard thing at the moment. And the fact that like I'm not really a fan of like talking to people about it and things like that is also, it worries people, but I'm fine. It's just more of a, I'm realizing that these are I know it's not me, it's the symptoms, which is really good to know at least you're self-aware of those types of things that are happening to you, because that's not normally you, right? But hopefully I'm almost done, and hopefully my acne never comes back. Well, in big blocks of it and things like that. But yeah. It's something else. I do recommend it to people, but if you truly are having the same thoughts as I am, I would definitely talk to somebody about it. I'm not a big person to talk to people about it, just because it means that well, I don't know if it will, but probably it means that I'll have to stop. I'm like, I don't think so. I can take it. But a lot of the times I was told that you should stop if you start having like what's the word? Crying spells. And recently I started having those, and it was like insane. It was like out of nowhere. I was at home here, and I just started to cry. And it was crazy because I'd never had that before. It was so like, wow, what's happening to me, kind of. And then I was thinking about it, and I was like, wow, it's the meds. It's 100% the meds. So I just used the highlighter from the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, and then we're gonna just go back again and just go at it. Just make sure that you don't set this just yet, because we want it to catch the color when we go back in with our eyeshadows. So do not set it. Just make sure to kind of diminish all of the redness in your skin. Make sure it looks mattified. Do you know what I mean? If you've got to go in with even more product just to make sure that it catches on it, then do that too. But as you see, it's very matte, and there's almost no type of contour on the face just yet. We're still going to be doing contour. We're actually going to powder the face a little bit. We're going to bake the face mainly. So we're going to go back in with our Huda Beauty baking powder. This is Sugar Cookie because this is the only one that matches my skin. No, I just like really translucent products. Anyways, so we're going to go back in with our beauty blender and just kind of drag it on those areas. Make sure that you're not gonna make it too powdery, but make it as powdery so that you can see it, you know what I mean? Go back in like this, perfect. And up top, almost where all those places are where you highlighted. And here, here, you know, on all those good places, you know? Oh, hello. Come on, girl. She's different. Well, no worries. So, now that we've finished with our baking, we're gonna wait a minute and we're gonna start doing our contour. So, we're gonna be grabbing our brushes again. Make sure that none of my brushes are gonna be falling everywhere, because that's what's happening over here. Away from the camera. So I'm just trying to find my one brush. There goes another brush. Oh man. Alright. That's super weird. She's absent. Alright, no biggie. We'll use a different guy. So we're gonna go in with this brush. And we're gonna use our Kat Von D Contour Shade and Light. I like to mix all the colors around just because I've never, you know, I've never needed to just have one color and all that stuff. So here we go. Follow your usual contour pattern, you know, nothing different, nothing, you know, nothing significant, your usual contour wherever you need it, wherever you feel like you need it. So make this really strong, almost press it right in, which is the reason that we only highlighted, which is the reason we only baked the highlight parts of the skin, where the, you know, where the sun like hits off of it. So make sure you're not gonna be, you know, oh, here it is. Here's my actual one. Perfect. Because this guy has a lot of, this one catches a lot of product. So there we go. It's better. Almost kind of like drag it, you know? Make it really harsh on your skin. Well, don't hurt your skin, but you know what I mean. Make the contour harsh. You know, contour up here. I gotta contour my big forehead. You know, there she goes. She's looking all right. She's not exactly where I want it, but you know, no worries. I like to kind of contour my neck area. You know, give it kind of that dark lining, you know. And then we're gonna go in with my my little, I have a little extra brush that I use for my nose contour. So we're gonna just use this guy. We're just gonna go at her. Yes, make that nose tiny. Lately, I've been so self-conscious about my nose, and I don't know what it is. It's funny, like I've never had an issue with it until recently. I feel like it's getting bigger, and I'm worried about it. But then I always think to myself, you know, if it does get bigger, and if you don't like it, just go for that surgery. Just make it fake, you know? Anyways,
Now I'm just gonna go in with my Anastasia Beverly Hills bronzer. It's pretty great. This is my powder bronzer in Cappuccino. I don't know, it's the darkest one, but I love it. I don't even care. So we're gonna use that. We're gonna use a lighter brush, a bit more of a fluffier one, just slightly fluffier. We're gonna pick a lot up, but then we're gonna kind of beat it down into our arm for a minute. Make sure to get not that much product on, because you got already some insane cheekbones, you know? But you should have to kind of warm up your skin a little bit, you know, not something crazy, but warm up that skin just slightly, you know? Make sure to get into that hairline. And if you have to, get a little bit more closer to the middle of the forehead, you know, give that a contoured illusion. Make sure that you look, you know, you look sculpted to the gods, you know. So now we're just gonna take all the excess powder off. Won't be too much left because your body kind of absorbs it, depending on your skin type. So now that we've kind of powdered that area, we're just gonna go back in again with our with just the excess powder that was left on your bronzer brush, and just kind of give it another warm tone, you know. Rub in your circular motions. Unfortunately, I'm not one that, you know, wants to look too bronzy just because of how light skinned I am. I'm very, very pale, so it's really hard to kind of look bronzed without looking, you know, orange. You know what I mean? So I don't like to put the bronzer everywhere like usual. I just kind of follow my contour lines, which obviously you can do, but it's more common to actually, you know, kind of go all around your face, you know, these areas and things like that, but that's not to my interest at all. So now that we kind of have the bronze part of it, which looks amazing, we're gonna go in, and I think we're gonna start with our second coat of contouring. So this type of contouring actually works just with our eyeshadows, and the reason why is just like this is just how my makeup is put out. This is how it's gonna work. This is how she's gonna work. So we're actually kind of gonna go in with a more flatter brush. We're gonna go in with a more crease brush. And where is my cloth? I don't know where it went. Wherefore art thou, cloth? Oh, I guess I can just use my hand. All right, perfect. So now that we have that part finished, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna be grabbing our crease brush, and we're gonna be following our contour lines, but with green. I know, I'm excited. So we're actually gonna start with a darker green. So we're gonna start with our darkest green like usual. And we're gonna follow kind of more of the, we're gonna start with like the more darker area, the lower area, and going down. But we're gonna start up here. So here we go. You know, if it hits that part, it's all right. And just follow that line. It doesn't have to look perfect. Just go all the way down and like that. So we're just gonna kind of clean it up. Whoopsie. Hello. That's alright. We're just gonna kind of clean it up smudge it out a little bit. But we want it to visibly resemble it being the darkest color on the face. So make sure that it's a really dark color. And I forgot to mention, this is the same color that we used on our eyes. So this is the Morphe 35B palette in the darkest green. So we're gonna just follow those lines. It doesn't have to be extremely dark, but make sure that people know it's a green and it's the darkest green. You know what I mean? Good. So there we go. There's our first part of it. And then we're gonna go in with our other guy, and we're gonna try and mimic it. Might not work, but that's okay. So make sure, just start with the outline, you know, nothing crazy. Start with the outline, make sure it's kind of symmetrical as you see my massive forehead. Take your time. Yeah, it's working. So take your time, make sure it's looking good, make sure it's looking straight, make sure that it's following the same pattern that your other one is, or else it's not going to look that good. Go in again, you know, just follow that lower part of your cheekbone. The lowest part you can get to is where you want it to start, because you're going to put other greens in there too. So make sure that you're going to get it the right way. Okay. It's working. She's working. She's looking good. And don't worry if it's looking a little wonky, you know, you still got other colors, you have your time, you know, you've got whatever. Anyways, I'm just trying to clean up this line, make it less messy. If it seems messy to you, you know, just kind of fix it. I'm actually gonna go in with my sponge for a minute. Oh boy, that's not gonna work. It's gonna hurt. If I just do this. That didn't work. No worries. Anyways, we're gonna keep going. Yes. Yes. So far so good. If you need to double check it, you know, just kind of look, make sure it's all right, you know. Of course, it's going to be a little bit off, but, you know, symmetry does matter. So perfect. So far so good. I'm trying to sneeze. That didn't work. Okay. Anyways, so now that we've got this color done, we're actually going to go in with our medium color. So I'm actually going to go in with our second darkest color in our Morphe 35B palette. Yeah. So this one's above our darkest color. I believe this is our, second darkest. So now this time we're gonna follow those lines, but we're gonna go in and just get a little close to your darker area, but don't make it insane. Perfect. That's looking good already. So that's good. So this is our second darkest color. Make sure that you're still following this. Make sure they don't touch, but make sure there's a good amount of space in there to differentiate the two. Follow your, natural contour lines. Make sure that it looks good. You can always go back with more, always. And you can always fix it. Perfect. That's working out well. Make sure you're still getting that good clean line. Make sure it, is about the same thickness as your other one. If not even thinner, that's okay, but not too thin. And then we're gonna do our other side. Remember, make sure that they don't touch, but make sure there's a good make sure that there's a differentiation. There we go. I think that's the word. I think that is a word, maybe. Make sure that they're, you're able to understand that there are two different colors, and they're not touching. Because that's what we want. Continue on, just go right at it. Just don't make sure that there's not too much room, but make sure there's a good amount of room, kind of put a finger there and be like, all right, this is where I gotta draw, I kind of kept this consistency, so like that kind of. Now you can go back, make it a little darker, that cool stuff. All right, so far so good. It's working out. All right. Then we're gonna go back in with our third color. And this one's gonna go a little bit more down. So this one's not gonna, it's gonna kind of lower a little bit lower. So this is our last line, no worries. But this one is going to be like a little bit more significantly lighter, but not too light. So I'm gonna mix the two second lightest colors in my Morphe 35B palette. And we're gonna go at it. So this one's actually gonna come a little bit more closer to the eye. And we're gonna just start like this. So here we go. And yeah, it's looking good. So this one can look a little bit more different. It's got to have a little bit more of a lighter consistency. Just make sure it's not too light. And this one is going to be following the same pattern as all the other ones. Mind the spaces. Remember about the spaces. Just keep going. Now this one's just gonna go even further down. So this one's gonna be the one that goes a lot more downwards. And yeah. So make sure that it's looking good. Make sure this one's a sharp one. There we go. See? Look at that consistency. That's looking good. That's a good consistency. And don't mind, if you get your eyebrows in this, don't worry about it because you still have to do your eyebrows. Anyways. So we're going to mix those two colors again and we're going to go to the other side. Make sure to match it up. Just lightly sketch out your space. Take your time. This one's going to be a little wonky, I think, but that's okay. And down below. right, that's working. That's working real good. So we're just gonna go in again and just do for realsies. Just gonna darken it up a little bit more. Make sure it's a little bit more strong. The colors, make sure they contrast with the other two colors. There we go. Yes. So far so good. Just make sure to meet it down at the more bottom, just like the other one. Just be mindful the other two do not meet at the very bottom, so be mindful of that as well. Now this is going to be a little bit off, I think, but no worries. Doesn't have to be perfect. All art is made for a reason, and if you make a mistake, it was meant to be. So now that we have all of these lines finished, we're gonna go in with, I think we're gonna go in at the bottom first. So for the bottom, it's even more interesting. We're gonna put more lines, but it's gonna be a little bit more different. And you can have a shaky hand for this. This is actually perfect. If you have a very shaky hand, this is what you need. So we're gonna go in with our normal colors, like the usual ones. We're gonna kind of keep that consistent. And we're just kind of gonna play. I'm just kind of gonna play with those colors a little bit and just wipe them upwards into a really weird, you know, kind of squiggly. Squiggly hand movements, you know? Really, funny looking, you know. But make sure you have room to put the rest of the colors in. I kind of made a weird, funny looking thing, but anyways. So make sure you have room for the rest of the colors, you know. If you need to go over a little bit of them, go ahead. Go right at it. So now I'm just using the second lightest colors and the lightest ones. I just kind of mixed them all together just to kind of give a little less consistency. So as you can see now, it looks a little kind of funny. Looks kind of good, you know, it's got a different style to it. But actually we're gonna go in again. We're gonna use, let's see. I think we're gonna go in with our darkest color again. So this is the part where it's gonna be really scary to do. No worries, I got you. We're gonna walk through this together. So we're gonna actually overline our lips. We're not gonna put any lipstick, no lip products except for overlining. So we're gonna start with our darkest color. Make it very visible that you don't have any lipstick on. next one. Perfect. Yeah, make sure it's clean, make sure it's concise or precise. What am I saying? Anyways, so we've got this type of part done, and now we're actually gonna go in and contour. Actually, first we're gonna go in again with our scribbles. Because I'm realizing that I might have missed a few. Make sure to actually bring the scribbles all the way up here, because I totally forgot about that part. I was like, huh, this is kind of missing something. So get in with those scribbles again. Scribble all the way up here, you know? Make it look kind of like a, I don't know, a weird looking spirit. Whatever you're into. Make sure it doesn't look as noticeable when you go all the way up. I'm gonna make a few of them. Perfect. And then make sure to get the other side, you know. Get in there and just almost like branch-like looks, but like a little less. I don't know. Like a little bit more organic kind of coloring, you know. Perfect. And now we're gonna start with our contour. So this is the part where it gets really interesting. We're gonna go back in with our darkest color. And we're gonna contour our nose. Like the use. All the way up. Now when you contour your nose, make sure that you actually go like underneath the nose. Make it a little bit more prominent. That you went underneath and just there we go. Now because I'm using so many of the same colors, we're actually gonna go in after I finish this nose. We're gonna go in with a black with the nose, just to give it a little bit more of a differentiation in the in all of colors. So these lines have to be very, very strong. So make sure to just kind of blend out all that negativity in your life, you know, and just get it looking like you want her to look good, you know, make her look good. And then we're gonna go in with our black actually in our Morphe palette, and we're just gonna go over our green just to give it more of a depth, which I'm living for right now. It's looking so good. It's super great. I'm in love. sure to get those nostrils. Get right up in there. Like, start like, you know, going like this to the crease. Or, you know, a little crevice there, right by your eyebrows. You know, get right in there. Perfect. And then we're gonna use our smaller brush, and we're actually just gonna kind of now this is your darkest green again, and you're just gonna kind of take it into the brow, just like a little bit below your brow, a little bit below, just slightly below. Make sure that the little thing is prominent because you're gonna do another one. So then we're gonna just, you know, do a funny looking face, distort that face a little, and just go again. You know, make that other little line. Make it you know, go again, and second line. You know, make it look, you know, more organic, kind of like you want it to be there. Like it wasn't a mistake. Because in art, there are absolutely no mistakes. And that's what I live by all the time. Because when I first started doing art, I wanted everything perfect, right? You just want everything to work the way that it should. But you know what? Things mess up. Things don't go the way you want them to go. And that's okay. And I had to learn that the hard way because I was such a perfectionist. But as soon as you start to really kind of look at it and kind of, you know, just kind of go with your mistakes in your artwork, it looks even more beautiful. It looks more natural. It looks more, you know, great. It looks professional because, you know, it was meant to be there, and erasing it is just going to make it worse. You know, it's good to go with things like that. Anyways, now we're gonna go in with our lightest color of green in our Morphe 35B palette, and we're gonna mix it with our other lighter color and just kind of, so for this part, you're not actually gonna color in the nose, you're just gonna do little streaks just at the tip of the nose, just like, they don't have to be prominent streaks, just like you can see the color of the light green, you know, like look at that. And then you're also going to use your lighter green and then take another medium part of your green. Just take a medium one. And you're actually going to go up this part of the nose. I'm not sure what to call it, but you're going to go up this part of the nose and make it more prominent on this part of the nose. You know, take it again, take your medium colors, and you're going to do it again on this side. Yes. Oops. No. That's okay. Just do this. Just create her. Anyways. Go back out here. Oops. It's okay. That was a streak. And go up more. So now that you've got that kind of color onto the nose, you're just going to make it a little darker. So you're going to do your medium and your darker colors, and you're just going to kind of go in again. Blend it out. Make sure you still see the light green color, because you still want that there. You want to give the greens, you know, variation. It's not all the same colors, you know? But you also want to make sure that it matches. So again, this way. Start from like the darker point of the face, you know? Like this part here, the darkest part, and you see how dark it got? So start with that part of your nose and then just kind of blend in a little more on that side. Outwards. Make sure it's outwards. Perfect. Go a little bit more We're getting somewhere. Look at that. All right. So now that we have that part done, we're gonna go back in and we're gonna start doing the eyebrows. So, first things first, you need to brush yours out. I'm gonna just use one of my baby spoolies. You know, brush them out, make them look a little bit more, you know, where you want your shape to be. You're not gonna use an eyebrow brush. You're gonna be using whatever doesn't fluffy, a little bit more of like a smaller brush, but has a little fluff to it. Do you know what I mean? Because we're gonna make our eyebrows a little bit more organic. So I'm actually gonna dip into a different palette this time. I know, it's been forever. We're gonna use our Sugar Pill Heartbreaker palette, and we're gonna get right in there, right in the guts of your eyeshadow, and you're gonna make kind of tree-like, not tree-like, but go up with your brows, go a little bit more up, make it a, you know, make it a party. So this is only your first base, so don't, you know, don't worry, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just your first base of it, because you'll be putting in more color, you'll be putting in darker colors of the green. No, all that base, all the base of it. It's looking good. Go down a little, and fluff them out. Yeah, something like that. And then if you need to, if you feel like it needs to be a bit more dramatic, just kind of go back in like that. Go close to your, you know, and then go upwards again on your other eyebrow. These don't really have to match too much, because it isn't your eyebrows you're looking at, you know, it's all the rest of it, you know. It's just one little part. Oh yeah. Out, downwards, below. Perfect. It's working well. So now that you've got that kind of color in, you're gonna do some more darker colors again. So you're gonna go back into your 35B palette. I know. And you're just gonna swipe it on wherever you want it. Doesn't matter where it goes, as long as it's, you know, a reasonable amount. You're just trying to add a little bit more depth to your brows, because, you know, just plain green from there is not really gonna look that good. Yeah. So you're gonna go back in again, just give it that color. Give it all those variations, you know? You have that time, you have that energy, so make it perfect. Yes. Make sure the lines are a little bit more prominent. Make sure it kind of adds a little bit more texture to your eyebrows, more than, you know, anything. Make sure that it just adds that texture. Then you're gonna go back in with your black. Make sure there's nothing else on your brush, and then you're just gonna do it lightly. Do it lightly. And this one's gonna be a little bit more in your eyebrow. It's not gonna really come out a lot. It's just gonna be in the eyebrow and just kind of shadowing a little. See? You know, you see that it's darker, but it's not like, you know, it's not insane. And then you're gonna go back into this brow and you're gonna do the same thing. The black will not be prominent, it just needs to be, you know, it's just gotta be in there. You know what I mean? Yeah, like that. Nothing wrong with that at all. All right, now that we've gotten that part done, we're gonna go back in and do a black. And this is just gonna be, you know what? I think that we don't need that black. We're gonna start with our neck, I think, after we do our eyes again. So we're gonna go back in our eyes, and we're just gonna, you know, make sure that it's a little bit more prominent. Just make sure that
doesn't look like all the rest of it. So go in with all of that color and just, you know,
give it that hard edge so that it doesn't look like it's diminishing into the rest of it. Yes. It's really getting there.
You know, make sure it's darker, go underneath again, you know, make sure it's looking nice. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So there's my other dark one. Now we're gonna go in with this guy again.
Be aware of your fallout as well, because it won't look that good in this one. You know, if you're doing a more messier look, then yeah, but this is messy, but it's not,
You know, fallout messy.
So go in again, just kind of blend it out. Make it look good.
So we're gonna go a little darker on this side. So now that we have that part done, we just kind of made it a little bit more prominent. We're gonna go back in, and I think I'm just kind of gonna go with whatever I want. I think I'm gonna go with a more tealish kind of color, more bluey, and we're gonna mix it with a lighter green. So this teal is in Huda Beauty Electric Obsessions palette.
And then we're just gonna actually trace a little bit of this part here. I'm just gonna give it a edge.
That looks a lot better than I expected it to look. That's really good. So anyways, it's amazing. I just thought of that on the spot. So let's continue with that actually. Okay, here we go. Let's do the next one.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Actually, that's perfect. So now that we've gotten that type of part done that I totally didn't plan, but I'm in love with it, we're gonna start doing the neck area. So for this, I'd put on a darker shirt, I'd do something else just to kind of, you know, be careful, but I don't really care. So I'm gonna just begin. Just gonna be a little bit more careful about our fallout. You don't really have to prime your neck for this, because really, are you gonna be walking out like this? Probably not. But we're gonna actually go with a more sparkly color, and we're gonna use the Huda Beauty, what's this called? The Huda Beauty Gemstone Obsessions. We're gonna use that one, and we're just gonna go in with the green sparkly one, and we're just gonna almost like a mess, you know what I mean? Make it messy. Make it like what did you do to your neck kind of look, you know? Just like an insane mess. Just like, but only go one way for this color, and just make it whatever. Make it messy. Make it look like, what the hell did you do? You know, make it kind of like a scribble on the side of your neck. Then you're gonna go in, I think I'm gonna go in with a more teal. So we're gonna actually use, actually no, we're gonna use a way darker brown. sorry, not dark brown, a darker green, and it's going to be in our Jaclyn Hill palette. It is one of the darkest greens that we've got here. Or is that a black? Well, whatever. And we're just gonna color a little bit more up at the neck area, just to kind of give it a more definition. Definition look, a little bit more shadow. And then just bring a little bit of it down. Perfect. Once again, we're gonna go back in with our Morphe palette and we're gonna do our second darkest color. And we're going to shade it in more. Yes, honey. Girl, she's looking good. This mythical creature's got nothing. Yes. Girl. It's perfect. So as you see, I gave it more of like a color than like just kind of scrubbing it in like I did with the other one and made it kind of like a scribble. This one's kind of just to give it that like, you know, colored look to it before I begin with the rest of it. So I'm just actually gonna go back again and just color it in a bit more. Bring it all the way up to your ear, like just do it. But make sure it's going the same way as the other ones, just to be safe. And then you're gonna go in with your lightest green in your Morphe palette. Wow, it sounded like I just cried. And we're just gonna lighten a little bit more, just kind of little strokes. This way, don't go this way just yet. Don't get ahead of yourself. Give it a little highlight, like it was intentional. It didn't just like fall into paint or something, which I practically did, but you know what I mean, girl. Okay, and then we're gonna go back in, but we're gonna use our black from our Morphe 35B. We're going to give another shadow up top here. Just on this part of it, kind of like when you look up, just this kind of like big triangle part. Colored in like a triangle, oh my god. And then we're gonna go back in and just give it lines, but not extremely prominent, just kind of like a mess, like, oh, you know, like don't bring all the color into the brush, you know, just kind of like lighten your grip on it and slide. And then, you know, like go put some pressure on it and then lighten it and then put more pressure on it, just to kind of give it that like inconsistent kind of vibe, you know, just, and then, you know, you see what I'm doing, give it that pressure and then just like lighten it, give more pressure. There we go. You can go that way, but just make sure not to go this way just yet. But as you see how it kind of gives you that that look of like, you know, it's, you know, it makes sense. Anyways, and now you're gonna go back in and you're gonna use your two medium colors in your Morphe palette for green, and you're just gonna kind of, this time you're gonna kind of go in like a upside down M kind of way. So you're gonna just like that. So that looks pretty good. And now we're actually gonna go back in. This is our final part before we finish up with our eyes. We're gonna go in with a brown in our Jaclyn Hill palette. Any brown doesn't really matter as long as it's kind of like, you know, visible. No. All right, it's okay. Okay. And then you're just kind of gonna just on the sides of your neck. Just the sides. gonna give it a scribble. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just give it a scribble. Give it a big old scribble. Scribble it into the neck. Make it look cool. There we go. Perfect. So you scribbled that part of it, and then you're just gonna go for a little ready tone with it. Mix it in with your black just in case, but it's just a little ready tone, and then just go over it. That's all you need. Ready tone and just go over it like your scribble. Yeah. Looks great. All right. Now that we have that part done, we're going to go in and we are going to, I've got to be careful of this now. Oh, why did I do that? Okay. We're going to go in with our mascara and everything else. So, I'm going to grab my little curler. We're just gonna curl these lashes, make sure they look good, you know. There we go. Well, it's whatever. Anyways, now we're gonna go in and we're gonna do our mascara. Yes. No, not any usual color. I'm just gonna use black because I still have my lashes to do. Anyways, let's go in. So, this is my Maybelline one. This is Lash Sensational. Nothing crazy. Can be whatever mascara you please. And then make sure you're gonna be doing bottom mascara, but just keep it to the side. Don't do the full bottom. So just do this part of it. Don't do any more than that. Anyway, so I have that side done. Do this side. Yes. Honey. She's looking good. Whoopsie. Make sure it's just the side once again. Just the side part. Oh, hello. Oh, it's okay. No worries. I'll just put more on this side. Perfect. And now that I see that I've transferred a little bit up top, we're gonna fix that. We're actually gonna do we're gonna make it more extra, and we're gonna go with a blue. So I don't believe that this is still, I think this is discontinued, but this is Quo, and this is a matte liquid liner in Skyline. I'm obsessed with this. I had it before I left my job. I bought it and I was obsessed with it. So we're actually gonna go where I transferred it by accident, and we're going to use this blue, and we're just gonna go over it like this. And we just went over it just like that, you know? Nothing insane, just that. Make sure to just keep your eyes a little bit more droopy while you're working on this part, because it will transfer. Perfect. So keep your eyes a little bit low at the moment just to be sure that that's not going to transfer. And I actually had a really good idea, and I might do this, I might not, I don't know yet. But anyways, now we're gonna do our lashes. This is my favorite part. I love doing this part. So here we go. This is my favorite part. Putting on my lashes, popping them on, making them look good. You know, making them look irresistible. You know what I'm saying. Okay, so we're gonna pick off this glue like a little gremlin. Pick her off, you know, make her look okay for once in your fucking life. So, now that I think I've got this part off, we're just going to put some glue on it. So, glue. Yes. I put a ridiculous amount of glue on mine because I'm afraid of them falling off, even though it hasn't happened in forever. But still, it's good to pile on that glue sometimes. Okay, so we're just gonna wait for her to set. Wait for her for a little bit, but so far so good. You know, it's working. She's looking good. It's like, you know, it's looking great. She's really working. I was actually afraid to do this video because I was really worried about how this was going to turn out. And I was like, well, it looks like I'm not going to be posting this, but this is looking all right. No, never do this to a client. Never, like, you know, blow on their lashes if you're doing their makeup. But these are my lashes going on me, so I'm going to keep it the way I want to keep it. Yeah. So, lots of girls have a problem with putting on lashes, I've heard. And I've heard that some actually have like a big issue with putting them on in terms of like, you know, they don't stay or slips off, things like that. Of course, that's with a lot of people. And the thing I always say, because this is usually why, is they don't wait for the glue to get tacky. They put it on wet and then it stays wet, right? And then they're sliding it around on the eye and it doesn't work well. So wait till it's tacky until you know how to properly, you know, keep it on while it's wet. Because that takes a lot of practice to keep it on while it's wet. So it's a challenge, really is. And I went through it a long time ago and it was horrid. I hated doing it. It was like the worst thing ever. And I was so against lashes for the longest time just because I couldn't do it. But as soon as you like start doing it a bunch of times and you kind of realize, I personally use the Duo glue, which is really helpful. You know, you just kind of like brush it on and everything, and it's really great. But that's always a really good one to do. Use the Duo glue. Use Duo because it really helps with that. Because it changes color as soon as like it's kind of tacky. If you use the non-latex one, which is amazing because I know some clients are allergic to latex and they don't even know it until you put it on their eye. And then like the next day they're like, oh my god, there's something wrong with my eye. It's like, oh my god, baby, I'm so sorry. It was the latex, I swear. Because, you know, you just feel that uncomfortable. And usually when someone first gets lashes put on them, it's uncomfortable. It really is super uncomfortable. But near, you know, the middle of it, it should not feel uncomfortable anymore And if it still does, make sure to tell your makeup artist that, because you won't be able to get used to them. If you still feel them on your eyes in a very uncomfortable way and you feel like you need to kind of move it and things like that, it means they're not put on correctly. If you can, if they're a little heavy, that's fine. That's just heavy lashes, and not everyone's used to, wearing lashes all the time. But if it feels very uncomfortable on your face, just make sure to tell your makeup artist that, because they can always adjust it. You'll be able to feel when it's right. Anyways, we're just gonna wait for this one to finish, and yeah. You can also sometimes poke it wherever like the most thickest part of it is. You can poke it as well, but make sure not to poke it like too hard so then the stuff comes off. Just kind of like a little dab like that, nothing insane. So far this is looking great. I really love this look. It's definitely a big shot. Just gonna stick it on. It may be still a little wet, but that's okay. Just gonna stick it right on, make sure it's a little bit alright. All right. So I think this is everything that I can think of that I had in my look. This is my look. If you guys are wondering, this is called Wood Chip. And I created this look after I was kind of thinking of like a lot of the makeup that I've done before in terms of colors. And I don't use green often. And I was thinking, I want something that's going to be really, I want it to be mythical, but I don't want it to be common mythical. Like, I don't want bark coming out of it and, flowers everywhere and things like that. So I created this look in order to kind of show a little originality in it and give it more of like a different taste, Originally, what I was planning on doing is making these a little bit more, prominent, making it more leafy, but I think that this is a really good look. I think that this does make a lot more sense. It's visually appealing in the fantasy way. It's it's got all the colors that I did say that I have used, except for the browns and the blues up here, but I think that's, trial and error, things happen. But I think that this is where we will end this video. Thank you so much for watching this. I'm really excited to show you guys a lot of my other avant-garde looks, and I hope that you like and subscribe this video, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys try this out at home, and make sure that if you have tried this out, that it is my own original style and this is my original artwork. So if you want to try it, make sure that you know where it's coming from, because it's my own thing and I don't wish to be stolen from. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, evening, whatever you're doing. Bye!